Okay, so again, welcome to the Study Abroad for History Majors presentation. Um, our office putting this on is the UCLA International Education. We're a one-stop shop for study abroad at UCLA. So we are the place that you can talk to study abroad advisors and coordinators, connect with returnees, and just learn about study abroad in general. So my name is Kate Ostroff. I'm one of the advisors in our office. My colleague Danielle, who's our Associate Director of Travel Study, is joining us as well to just answer questions off screen. And today we're going to be talking about the Study Abroad for History Majors presentation, which is part of our Global Learning Opportunities Week, which is just highlighting a number of different study abroad related resources and opportunities, as well as information about funding study abroad. Like I said earlier, this session is being recorded and will be available on demand on the website on the screen right now. So ieo.ucla.edu/glow. So just some highlights of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to just go over briefly about what study abroad in COVID looked like, some brief refreshers about our one-on-one session, how to study abroad as a history major, some sample programs that might be of interest to you, and then a Q&A with returnees at the end. So just again, to touch on briefly, everyone, I know COVID's still on everyone's mind. So the biggest things we want to highlight as far as how it affects study abroad is, first of all, that study abroad is happening in person once again. We're really excited. For the first time in 18 months, we do have a number of Bruins abroad right now for fall quarter and fall semester programs. We also anticipate that future programs will be running and even in larger numbers, pending, obviously conditions worsening or anything like that. So obviously for those of you watching, you're in the process of applying to study abroad in the next year or so. So hopefully this will be even less of an issue by then. If you'd like to learn more detail about COVID and study abroad, we do have a full presentation on this. That's on our Glow page right now. So in the on-demand section, you can go check that out. It's about 15 minutes long. One thing I would just note right now that would be important is if you do not have a passport or your passport is going to be expiring, to renew it ASAP. It is taking about 4 to 5 months for passports to be processed from the time you apply to the time you get it. And a lot of programs do require you to have your passport several months before you actually leave on the program, either to get a student visa or to just to apply to the program in general. And so we just want to make sure you have your passport in time. Passports are good for 10 years. So even if you change your mind and you didn't end up studying abroad, you'll hopefully use it in the next decade at some point. And then our 101 study abroad program or session is right now on our Glow website. It was live on Monday. So it's ieo.ucla.edu/glow. So this session is really in the collaboration with that. So that session, we covered topics in detail, like how different types of study abroad different program types available to UCLA students, how credits transfer from these various program types, different costs and funding resources, as well as the application process and timeline. So that's what's over in there. If you haven't seen that yet, please check that out, because it'll kind of give you some background before seeing this one. And then this session, we're going to get into more detail specifically about how history majors can study abroad and take history classes, or what programs they might want to look for that would be a good fit as a history major, as well as, again, talking to returnees that have attended programs as history majors in the past. So just a quick refresher on that, so you can kind of understand a bit of what we're doing. The program types that we offer, here are the kind of top main 3 that we offer. Our university immersion programs are taught through UCAP, and these are programs where you study at a local university with local students and other UC students. Our UCLA faculty-led programs primarily are our UCLA travel study programs, and these are short-term experiential programs where you're actually studying with a UCLA professor who travels abroad over the summer with you, taking classes kind of on the go in different locations, depending on your program. And then we also have internship and research programs abroad, which are, as the name states, programs where you get the opportunity to intern or do research abroad. And we also have dozens of others, like language focused programs and programs just for UC students and stuff like that. If you need help kind of how to narrow down your programs, because we do have a lot of them, we have a really great resource on our website that's called How to Choose Your Study Abroad Program. It's really how to choose the best program for you, how to find the best fit, different questions to ask yourself. I don't think you probably can see it on the screen here, but if you go to our website, or actually, sorry, we do have a little bit.ly link here if you want to take a screenshot of that or write it down. Otherwise, it's on our website in the Get Started section at the top. You'll see the How to Choose This Program. So if you're having trouble narrowing things down, that can be a really helpful resource to kind of ask yourself different questions. And just some big takeaways as far as funding. Yes, financial aid is available for study abroad students. As long as you're eligible at UCLA, you can take that study abroad with you to take that financial aid with you to study abroad. There are also dozens of scholarships available that you can apply for just for study abroad. That can really help chip away at the cost of the programs. And these both individually are really big subjects. So we actually have a full session on financial aid and a full session on scholarships. If you haven't seen those and are interested, we recommend checking those out. And then as far as timelines, so what are we looking at as far as when to go abroad? So you apply to go abroad about 9 months before a program starts. So right now, as it says, can you apply to study abroad right now? So most summer and fall programs for 2022 are open for applications right now. A handful are going to open in the next month, but that kind of gives you a reference point of when you need to be applying. They're going to be due about 6 months before you go. Is it competitive? It's something students worry about a lot. It's not like applying to college. Most programs are not competitive in that sense. So you don't have to stress too much, but many are first come, first serve. So just keep in mind, there might be space limitations. So there might just be kind of a timeline you want to focus on. So let's jump into kind of the subject while you're here, how to study abroad as a history major. So one thing we do want to highlight is students are not obligated to study abroad in their major. So a lot of times students say, well, I'm a history major, I have to find a history program. You actually are able to focus on things outside of that if you wanted to, or if you needed that option, doing things like GEs, focusing on a minor, foreign language requirement, just getting units or upper division units, or even things like personal and professional development. So things beyond just checking those boxes of, degree completion, that you're kind of making progress towards your life or your degree. Most programs are not specific to a major. When we go into some sample programs, you'll see there are ones that are, and they are very specific, but there are a ton of programs that are really just, you studying at a university, just like UCLA, where they have a history department, but they also have many other departments. So you're not necessarily going to see the name history in a program when you're looking for them, or that doesn't have to limit you when you're looking for programs to just look for that. So you can expand your search beyond those just major programs if you'd like. However, if you do want to study abroad in your major, you want to take history classes abroad, what does that look like? So we've consulted with the history department, and this is what they've asked us to kind of pass along to students. The process of studying on a UCAP program. So UCAP programs are where you take classes abroad that are UC classes, but not approved UCLA classes, or not pre-approved UCLA classes. Because there's so many different universities and so many different classes around the world, it's just a process to petition to get those classes counted. So you're always guaranteed general units and credit, but to have it count specifically for history credit, it does have to be petitioned through the history department. And the history department does not do formal pre-approvals before you go abroad. So you're not going to be able to ask them like specific classes or anything like that. However, what they wanted you to know is that if you follow these general guidelines that they've provided, students are generally successful in getting classes to count for the major. It's something that's very commonly done. So you first want to make sure the class is listed as a history class. So when you're looking on UCAP programs, there are UCAP course catalogs where you're able to see how a class comes back, or talk to an advisor and they can assist you, but you want to make sure it's listed as history. That's important for them. Lower division credit classes are able to be accepted for major prep. And then upper division classes are able to be accepted for major electives. There is a maximum of 4 UCAP courses or 16 credits that can be applied towards the history major. So just keep that in mind if you are anticipating studying abroad in multiple UCAP programs, or even doing a full year abroad, that you may need to kind of split the requirements that you're doing abroad. So say you're taking 10 classes while you're abroad over the course of a year, you might do 4 of them for your history major, and then a handful of others for GEs or a double major or a minor or something like that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, you do have to petition the courses with the history department to receive credit. And that's pretty standard across any department. So that would just be a process of, once you have completed the course, going to the department and filling out the paperwork that they require. So something you could do ahead of time is check in with the department and just find out exactly what they're gonna want you to keep. So while you are taking the classes, you're hanging on to the proper materials. It typically looks like a syllabus, but it can change a bit over time. So it's helpful just to double check with them and have that conversation. They have shared that history majors are able to study abroad during any time of the year. You're not restricted to one time or another. So you can go abroad in the summer, or you can go abroad anytime during the school year for a full year, or just part of the year as a semester or a quarter. And you are able to do internship or research credit. It may be possible to petition for the major as well. Again, as long as it's transferring in as a history course and that you are taking the course for a letter grade. So just keep that in mind. This URL here, I realize, is long. So if you want to take a screenshot, it can be helpful just to check in. This is a link to our major advising plan. So it's basically just a PDF of this information in a little bit more detail. That's on our website specifically for history majors. And then if you do have further questions, they recommended that you reach out to them via their email address for undergraduate students. They're really happy to help and happy to offer any guidance beyond this, just to know information as a history major going abroad, what would be helpful. So as far as sample programs, so what are some things that other students have done and what are some things that you can do? So our travel study programs are experiential learning programs where you study abroad with a UCLA professor for about a month in the summertime. These are programs where you take 2 specific UCLA classes at least. They are literally UCLA classes, so everything we just talked about petitioning does not happen. They are very narrow focused in the sense that these are run by the history department. So you're not going to have other classes available to you if you're not going to be taking additional coursework. But if you want to take very specific history classes while you're abroad, this is a perfect way to do that. So just to highlight, we actually have 4 different locations. So we're going to go through them really quickly because it's our most common, I think, major actually in travel study. We have one program in Greece where you could see on the screen which exactly the 2 upper division history classes that you take. So again, these are UCLA classes. There's no petitioning involved. You can look them up just like any other class. This program is really cool because you actually travel throughout Greece and get to see all different sites and kind of using the whole country in a way as your classroom to learn about ancient Greece and gain 2 upper division credits, 2 upper division courses, like I said. The next one is our program in Paris. It's run by in conjunction with Professor Teo Ruiz, who I know is super popular, and people really enjoy classes with him. He's been running this program for a number of years and teaches these 2 specific classes. And then you do have an option to take some additional history coursework as well in a directed research or FIAC-Select setting. The next one is going to be, the next 2 actually are both in Italy. One is more focused on food and culture, which I don't know who doesn't like that, where you spend 1 week in Rome and then 3 weeks in Pisa, which is up in Tuscany, and it's super beautiful. And you, again, are getting 2 upper division history classes. You can see exactly what they are here. And then our final one through travel study is our one that's run in conjunction with the classics department as well as history. It's entirely based in the city of Rome. And again, you take 2 upper division history classes and you can see exactly what it is there, more focused on ancient Rome in this setting. So if you want to sign up for a travel study, registration is going to open on November 18th this year. It's usually around mid-November every year. And you can go onto our website and look up how to sign up for any of these 4 courses. They are all first come, first served. So just keep that in mind. Our global internship program, I'm just going to point it out. It doesn't offer history credit, but the global affairs track is open to all students that are interested in the subject matter. So you can see we have a number of different locations that you go and you basically do a more or less full-time internship during the summer that we help get a placement for you there. You do take 1 required class, it's an international area studies class, and you have an option of doing a second intercultural communications class with students from across the world in the different other internship locations. Again, not history credit, but something you'd be able to do to kind of just get upper division units in general and build your kind of personal resume. And our Global Studies program, this is a program where you study in half your summer abroad and then half your summer back at UCLA, and you do summer session C. So we have 3 locations in Amsterdam, Barcelona, and Milan. Just a note, Milan does not have any history classes, but Barcelona and Amsterdam, I believe, at least last year, had at least one history class, but you can go onto our website and see exactly what they are. It's a program where you're actually with students from those locations, and you travel back to the US with them to do summer session C. And there's kind of very specific coursework that is open to you to take in both sessions. So you can, again, look on our website to see what those classes are if you're interested. And UCAP programs, I know it's kind of a little bit out of order, but what we were talking about a few minutes ago about petitioning, that is going to be our UCAP program. So these are programs where you study at a university or a study center abroad with local students, local faculty who live there, local universities, as well as other exchange students or other international students who are there with you, depending on the program. There's really a huge range of what's offered through UCAP. So I do recommend spending a little time to review their offerings because I'm just going to highlight a few different ones, and there's really a huge range even beyond that. They have programs during the school year. Actually, I'm going to jump back real quick here. Programs during the school year or during the summer, and really programs that are intern-based, programs that are research-based, or programs that are course-based. So it's just a lot. So 3 that we think are really great for history majors. This program in Germany, it's our European Studies program at the Free University of Berlin, program meant for international students. So some of the highlights is that all the courses are taught in English, and you do have an option to do German language study. You also have an option to live with a German host family, which is a really cool way to get immersed in the culture. And the program actually has a week-long excursion to nearby European countries, which is really neat. This is a program, again, designed for international students studying in Germany and focusing on European studies, as the name implies. So a lot of the classes are history classes or history-related classes. So you can see the sample on the screen right now of ones that you could potentially petition for credit through the history department. This program's during the school year, so it's offered as a fall semester or a spring semester, which you can see the dates on the screen. Another one is our program at Yonsei University in Korea. It's a university where it's one of the top universities in Korea, where you're basically going as an exchange student. So again, there's not a topic or anything in the name of the university, but they will have a history department, as most universities will. Content courses are taught in English, and you have an option to do Korean language instruction as well if you're interested. And they even have a language buddy program where you can kind of work with a local Korean student who might want to be working on their English. There's also opportunities to volunteer in the local community, which is really cool. Again, this is a program where you are doing either a full semester, fall and spring, or a full year abroad. And like it says, you can focus on your history requirements, but you can also take GEs or foreign language and other things while you're there, because you really have a whole university's course catalog open to you. You can see kind of some of the options of classes that people have done in the past that could be petitioned for history credit. And the last one I'm going to highlight is similar. It's a national university in Singapore. So a university, top university in Singapore, where content courses are all taught in English, and you're with local students who are earning their degree at the National University of Singapore, as well as other international students who are on exchange programs there. You get to live in the university housing. You participate in campus activities really like you would at UCLA. And again, you have the option to take history classes, but because it's a whole university, you could also focus on things like working on your foreign language or a minor or GEs while you're there for a semester. So you can kind of see the dates on the screen as well. So UCP, like I said, really has a ton of options, especially for history majors. Like it says on the screen, you can take probably over 100 different programs in 40 different locations and feasibly get some history credit on them. So going back to what we talked about earlier, that how to choose the best study abroad program for you, academically, you really have a lot of options as a history student. And some of it might just come down to preference of you thinking about when you want to go abroad or where you want to go abroad, or even beyond those academics, because you do have a lot of choice in that sense. So just when you are looking at programs, just be able to kind of sort out your different factors that might help you make a decision potentially beyond just those classes. So with that, we are going to jump into the Q&A session of our presentation. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in, whether it's for returnees or for me, feel free to put them in the Q&A section now. Diego and Jungi, I don't know if you guys want to jump onto your video. Awesome. Hi guys. So I'll just have actually each of you can go ahead and introduce yourselves. If you want to let us know your name, where you studied abroad, and one favorite thing about your program. So Jungi, if you want to go ahead first.
Hi, I'm Jungi. I studied abroad in the fall of 2019. One thing I really liked about the program was being able to travel and see all the safaris in Southern Africa. So yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. And then Diego?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Diego Casillas. I study abroad, well, virtually abroad this past summer through the UCLA Travel Study Program. And I actually took the History Medieval Paris program, which it was amazing. Even though it was virtual this week, we got into places that we probably couldn't have gone, or we visited so many museums online and had so much history information. It was an amazing experience, and I'm happy to take questions about anything that you have today.
Awesome. Thank you both. So I don't see any questions from attendees just yet. So I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you in the meantime. Let me see. Jungi, I'll go back to you. Would you be able to describe just a day in your life while studying abroad?
Yeah, so I lived in the dorms in the University of Botswana, and I had a roommate who he was from Swaziland, or Eswatini now. And I probably wake up around 7:30, kind of like get into my routine. The dorms, they're not like the UCLA dorms, honestly. My toilet seats I didn't have toilet seats in the bathroom, and they didn't have a shower curtain. So I just kind of showered in front of everyone every morning. And usually I'd have like one or two classes. And if I had my internship, I would usually just take the local public transport and make my way to the middle school and spend a couple hours with some kids and talk about stuff. Usually breakfast, I would just eat like cereal I'd buy from a grocery store. Lunch, I might like get something from just like the cafeteria, or a quick snack like a piece of bread. And the dinner, I'd probably go to the cafeteria with some friends and just, talk about the day. So that was usually my day studying abroad.
Cool. Actually, I'm going to ask you a second question because it kind of piggybacks on what you just said. And then Diego, I'm going to ask you something. So you mentioned doing an internship. Would you be able to speak at all about the internship you did, or if there was anything else that you were able to kind of interesting, like unique opportunity you were able to take advantage of that you wouldn't be able to just as a tourist while you're there?
So my internship, I was a guidance department intern at a local middle school. And basically I was kind of running the club on my own for an after school program. The students had like an hour between classes and getting picked up. So I would just kind of spend an hour with them and talk to them about like how to do better in school or how to be a good supportive classmate. And in terms of visiting Botswana as a student and not as a tourist, I think just like getting to like actually get to know people and the variety of people that live there, that was really important for me. Because if I just came as a tourist one day, if I was lucky enough to be a tourist, I would just have to like, gone to the safari parks. I wouldn't have lived in the city, which is very different from people who do work in the service industry. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see, we had one question that was submitted, and then let's see if I can ask you, Diego, I'll ask you, otherwise I'll ask you something else. See, I'm an English major and I'm working to double major with history. I'm currently working through the pre-major history requirements. I'm wondering if I could do both English and history abroad, or I'm restricted to doing only English because I haven't been declared as a history major. I believe you should be able to take classes in the major even before you are officially declared, because the classes will still be in your record. But I would tell you to double check with the history department on that, just to be sure. it would kind of, I honestly think would probably be similar as just taking a class at UCLA, whether you would, if you were to take a history class before you're a declared major, would that be able to count towards the major? That's something you'd have to ask them. As far as the study abroad, like us accepting you and you being allowed to go on a program, most programs should allow you. I can think of one program that does have a requirement that you do have to be a declared major, but that's out of like 250 programs. So the vast majority, so like the ones we mentioned, the three, the one in Germany, Korea, and Singapore, you do not have to be a major before you go on the programs. And same with the programs that both Jungi and Diego did. You do not have to be a history major, including the travel study ones, in order to attend the program. You can just go on the program and take the classes. So you would, maybe want to talk to the department just as far as like how it would then count towards your credits. But from our standpoint, you would definitely be able to attend nearly every program and take, a mix of classes or just take history classes while you're abroad, whichever you wanted, regardless. So Diego, I don't know, it kind of leads into your program. I know you did the travel study program in Paris that you said. So I don't know if I guess two questions. One, do you know of people who were not history majors on your program or weren't declared history majors yet? And if not, that's fine. And then for yourself, how did the classes that you took abroad help you make progress towards your degree, specifically, in terms of history?
Yeah, no, for sure. So the first question, I did make so I am myself not a history major, just to put that out there. I am a political science major, but I've been thinking of declaring like at least a minor. So I thought it was a good idea to, get some history courses on my, on my list, whether later I decided to add that minor or not, they were always going to be there. Now, I met two people that are history majors who I made really, really good connections with, and I'm still in touch with. And, I fall back on them to ask them questions lately, like, hey, what history classes do you recommend? This is kind of what I'm interested on. And I guess it's a good way to meet other fellow students who are interested in the same topics as you may have. So, yeah, so these two individuals, great folks, great peers. I still keep in touch with them to this day. So that's a good way to get to know other people that are interested in the same major that you may be pursuing. The second question, in regards of how perhaps studying abroad helped my progress towards my graduation, a lot, because particularly in my scenario, I didn't took as much as units as I could have. I only took 8 units, but you can take up to 16 or sometimes 17 units depending on the cycle, right? And that's almost a quarter and a half on academic advancement that you can accomplish in your program. And you're doing it while studying abroad, while visiting a city or enjoying new topics. And I just didn't see, it can't get any better. Again, my program was virtual, but we learned so much, and I don't have no complaint. I have no complaints because we had an amazing time, and I know the city now. So if I get to go next summer, I'll be familiar with the place. So yeah, you can make an outstanding academic progress while studying abroad.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you both. I think we're actually out of time. So I really appreciate you guys both coming and talking to us. We already got the questions. I was going to put this up on the screen. If anyone wants to sign up for our newsletter, you are welcome to. And if anyone has further questions, here's our office information. You're welcome to reach out to us there. And you can come in for drop-in advising. We have Monday through Thursday virtually right now on our website, ieo.ucla.edu/contact, or you can send us an email at info@ieo.ucla.edu. So we hope this presentation was helpful, and thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Jungi and Diego, as well, for sharing your experience.